South African Revenue Service's recent crackdown on tax compliance for influencers and side hustlers has sparked a crucial conversation about the legitimacy and regulation of the South African gig economy. Now, as the Sars emphasizes that income from sponsored content and brand deals must be declared, it's essential to explore the implications of this move on the industry. Now, to unpack more for this implicacy is Luncedo Mtwentwe, Managing Director of Voluntary Advisory. Welcome to Africa Side Hustle again, Luncedo.
Thank you for having me, Prudence. Yeah.
And just to explore on this conversation, what are the key implications of the SARS crackdown, most especially when coming to the South African hustlers?
Yeah. So look, I think number one, this comes as no surprise. If you go back at the beginning of the year during the budget speech, it was clear that SARS requested or was awarded additional 7.5 billion rands.
Yeah.
At the heart of that was that they needed more capacity, right? SARS did very good assessment to say, look, you give us more funding, we will collect more on your behalf as government. Now, they've invested heavily on artificial intelligence. They've invested heavily on data analytics. Therefore, they can pick up that, say, look, the influencer economy has generated over 500 million rands, in 2024. The informal economy as well, as we know it, is worth over 750 billion rands. Therefore, there is money there that needs to be declared. However, it is not being declared. So what SARS is doing really at the end of the day is to truly just to enforce the law.
Can you just break down the finances on what rate or an amount that you can be able to, be in balance in terms of being able to pay tax?
Yeah. Now, our taxes in South Africa as an individual starts from 18% up to 45%. So the higher you earn, the higher you get taxed, all right? So if you're generating, as an individual, for instance, 0 to 237,000 rands per annum, you're taxed at 18%. Therefore, if you're generating over 1.8 million rands and above as an individual, you're taxed at 45%, all right? So you need to be able to ensure that whatever income that you are receiving, not all of it at the end of the day, you need to consume it. You need to put a certain percentage aside, depending on the scale where you're at. If then you are generating income, either now as a business, right, you are able to be charged from 0 to 95,000 rands. If you've got a business, you're doing your side hustle or your influencer, brand via your own business. Therefore, from 0 to 95,000 rands, you are not taxed, all right? Then from 95,000 rands and above, then that's when the tax kicks in. And if you're recognized as a small business corporation, you're taxed at 7%, up to 27%. So it's up to you now as an individual whether you're going to really, your side hustle or your influence brands, the way you are operating, either you do that under a business or else under an individual. But from where we're at, it's usually way better if you do it under a business because the tax rates there, they're a bit lesser compared to if an individual where you're taxed at 45%.
Over the weeks, we've seen, certain influencers trending because of some, brand deals that they actually had, which actually exposed a certain amount. So what's the way forward? Rather, certain influencers being able to be exposed in terms of information. What's their step forward?
Brands will pay you either in cash, right? So that is obvious. Sometimes brands then will pay you in kind. Either, let's say, a hotel brand will say, come and stay with us for a weekend up to the value of 10,000 rands. So therefore, what is considered as income will be basically the market value of that stay, all right? So if you stay in a 5-star hotel, you stay for like a week, and they give you 100,000 rands, you have to declare that I received in kind 100,000 rands, and therefore you can put your expenses around that, and then you get taxed on that. Now, with influencers who find themselves in a situation where now you are non-compliant, there are two ways about it. Of course, SARS doesn't immediately come and say, you've done something wrong and then you're going to jail. No, it's not like that. There is what we call a VDP, Voluntary Disclosure Program. So you can go to SARS and say, listen, I was not aware about ABCD, so I haven't been declaring for the past 2-3 years. Therefore, I'll go back, calculate each and every financial year, and say I made 1 million rands. Therefore, I can't be able to pay, let's say, 45% of that 450,000 rands right away. Therefore, can I please make an arrangement? SARS has, a decision, of course, to say they're going to give you 6 months or 12 months or 18 months in relation to the payment arrangement that you have to make. In that way, at least you're able to say, you're going to sleep well at night, right? You've reached out and you've declared, of course, what you needed to declare. But if you don't declare that, and SARS, they start to audit you, they realize that you have been intentionally not declaring, then that's why it becomes an issue, with consequences, of course, of penalties up to 200% in relation to the liability that you need to pay.
How will they actually know that there is a certain amount that you're actually receiving?
So the starting point is SARS, they've deployed now AI. Yes. They've got data analytics systems, all right? As I said, for instance, one practical example, you declare that I am working, all right? I'm earning 300,000 rands, all right, that's fine. I am getting paid my employer and I pay tax on a monthly basis. Someone who earns 300,000 rands, there's no way they're going to be able to really buy a house or a car, a luxury car, for instance, worth 6-7 million rands. Automatically, you don't qualify for that. Therefore, the moment all of that comes in, SARS is able to verify that, okay, you declared 200,000 rands, but when we do our analytics, we're picking up that you do have an asset worth X amount. So therefore, they start to audit you, all right? And therefore, from that, they can reach out to different parties to verify indeed all of the information that I have, that it is indeed true. You're found lying, then you're in trouble, right? With influencers, it becomes easy, of course. I mean, you post, right? Some of the posts you do state that this is sponsored content. Therefore, even if they're auditing you, that they can be easier to go to your social media account and see exactly how much you've been generating throughout. Therefore, they can reach out to those brands and say, please confirm either that you have sponsored this person to stay at your hotel, for instance, for a week, and what is the market value per night, all right? If it's 10,000 rands, someone spent there for like a week, that's 70,000 rands, that becomes easier. Therefore, when they look at the declaration, they see that this was not declared. Why was it so? So there's all of that SARS can actually do. But I always say that the way the Income Tax Act or law, it works is based on voluntary disclosure. First, you have to disclose. Therefore, they look at what they've disclosed, then they take a step further.
Yeah. Do you think that there might be a possibility where SARS can be able to collaborate with banks because of, banks also know certain information about, that particular person?
They've started already. I mean, we've seen situations where SARS will go directly to the bank and say, Luncedo Mthwendo is owing us X amount, so therefore, can we please get that money? You wake up your following day, SARS has actually, of course, collected, what is due to them. So that is already happening from that point of view. And of course, remember, SARS is a state organ, all right? And they've got access as well to National Treasury, your title deeds, your car gets registered somewhere. I mean, it's a government entity that registered or that even gives you the license and all of that. So all of these things are within, where government or SARS can really connect the dots pretty much easier. So it's no longer a situation where way back in the days, they would struggle to get information around you. I mean, with AI and technology that we have right now, it's pretty much easier to get information about individuals.
Yeah. Doesn't that interact with the POPI Act probably?
Look, of course, remember this is a state organ. They're not doing this, of course, for any harm or whatsoever. All they know is that you have declared, so therefore we need to verify what you have declared. And SARS has a right to do that, all right? Same way with the bank. They're able to say, so-and-so has declared that they made X amount. So we want to verify that, provide your bank statement, then they're going to do their own bank confirmation as well from their side. Same as if you've said, I've generated X amount. They're able to reach out to government, to National Treasury and say, please confirm how much payment was made to that particular company. So it's really not outside of the law. It is within the ambit of the law, and that individuals have to pay their taxes at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. What can you say the role SARS could actually play in terms of, educating the influencers or the gig economy, and also what implications will it have within the economy with that education being brought?
Yeah. So what we're picking up quite a lot, SARS, yes, they've ramped up to their collections. They've ramped up to their audits, right? Most businesses right now are under the scrutiny. And what we're picking up, especially with entrepreneurs at an SME level, the awareness and the knowledge and the responsibilities that they have towards compliance is something that is not yet out there.
Yeah.
So the investments towards education, right, not only from SARS, but different organs of state or even private sector as well, to come and play and educate the influencers to say, look, you are considered that now you're running an enterprise with what you're doing, so therefore you have to pay tax.
Yeah.
So it's to try to bring the community or the citizens of this country to really understand what are their rights, and the information as well around of, if you start something, what is expected of you? Because what you don't want a country where anyone can do anything without the ambit of the law. And that's what SARS right now is doing, to say, all of this, what we're doing, is within the ambit of the law. It's just that it hasn't been exercised that much. Therefore, right now, we are starting to enforce what is within the Income Tax Act. But I think there's so much that needs to be done by SARS in terms of education, and to partner as well with even businesses that are within the tax industry to really educate our taxpayers. It will help quite a lot, other than to really find a situation where everyone is pushing away, whereas SARS is just enforcing the law.
Yeah, I wish we actually had more time to actually explore more on that. But thank you so much for joining us on Africa Side Hustle. And that was Luncedo Mtwentwe, Managing Director at Vantage Advisory. Now, as we conclude today's episode, remember that Africa's entrepreneurial spirit is unstoppable. Turn your passions into profits and do join the movement. Now, share your hustle story with us using hashtags Africa Side Hustle. And also don't forget to subscribe for more entrepreneurial stories, business news and insights on cnbcafrica.com. Till next time.